As you can see, when she was getting up from that play, she has a look on her face like she is in a lot of pain. Erica Wheeler is helping her up here. She grabs her leg as well, but you can just see she says ow. She's kind of limping to the bench.
What if Caitlin Clark's groin injury wasn't just a random accident? Could it be the result of a deeper issue, maybe? A lingering quad injury that never fully healed? Or possibly something even more serious? There were warning signs. The tape on her leg, her low energy on the court, that awkward fall in the final moments, and now people are starting to ask tough questions. Is her team doing enough to protect her? Is the league overlooking key risks to one of its most promising young stars? In today's video, we're digging into the growing concerns surrounding Caitlin's health and what this could mean for the future of her career.
News that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark.
Oh, is Caitlin Clark's groin injury just another unlucky breaker? Is there something more going on here? Some experts believe it may actually be linked to an earlier quad injury. You might remember all the hype around her off-season muscle gains toes were supposed to give her a major edge. But now, the big question is whether those gains may have disrupted her natural movement and mechanics, setting off a chain reaction that led to this setback.
From Aaliyah Boston, and then she fumbles the ball a little bit and she falls to the ground. Now, in real time, a lot of us thought that she actually tripped over Erica Wheeler, but if you slow this down, it's a non-contact jump that kind of happens.
Some basketball analysts are pointing to a common issue when muscles grow too quickly. It can throw off the body's natural alignment, especially if there isn't enough time for proper adjustment. Now, combine that with an earlier injury that may not have fully healed, and you've got the perfect setup for something else to go wrong. The message from the experts is clear. If recovery isn't balanced, the body shifts the strain elsewhere. And in Caitlin Clark's case, that strain may have landed right in the groin.
I think Caitlin's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury. And less than 12 hours later, the news dropped from the Fever.
The part that many people might have missed. Fans and analysts took a closer look at how Caitlin Clark was moving during recent games. One expert pointed out subtle but important signs. For example, how her taped quads seemed to limit her explosiveness when driving to the basket. It wasn't just a visual detail of tape itself. It was a sign that her leg still wasn't ready for full-speed competition. And then came the overcompensation.
You have an injury and you don't allow it to heal all the way, your body starts compensating in other ways. And I'm not sure if she initially got this injury because of the amount of muscle that she put on during the off season. The minute that you bulk up, the minute that you add more muscle, the minute that you add any sort of weight to your body, your mechanics change.
Whether it was the way she positioned herself for jump shots or how she slightly changed her stride during fast breaks to protect her quad, those small adjustments can have a big impact. When one area of the body is weakened, the rest has to work harder to make up for it. In Caitlin's case, that extra pressure likely shifted to her groin-a-key muscle, used for quick cuts, side-to-side movement, and explosive defense. Over time, that strain can add up, so it's not hard to understand how this chain reaction may have led to her current injury.
My initial concerns with this injury is the fact that it is something that is still lingering and it seems to be jumping around. If we go back to the preseason, I think Caitlin Clark went into training camp, or she at least went into the preseason games with a quad injury. This is something that dates all the way back to the beginning of the season.
Think back to some of Caitlin Clark's recent games. Did something seem off? One analyst noted it. Right away, Clark just didn't look like herself. That usual sparked energy she brings to her teammates. The way she feeds off the crowd, it was missing. Even physically, she looked worn down at times, less animated, almost like she was holding back, trying to conserve every bit of energy just to make it through the game.
She made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
In warm-ups, the tape on Caitlin Clark's upper leg was always there, almost like a quiet reminder that she still wasn't back to 100%. And yet, despite that, she continued to play heavy minutes, game after game. The clearest sign that something was really wrong came during the matchup against the Seattle Storm. If you watched it, you'll remember the moment late in the second quarter. She hit the floor hard. She stayed down, clutching her leg, and it was clear from her face that something wasn't right. Watching her limp to the bench slowly, it was tough, especially for fans who followed her journey from the start.
Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games, so there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right.
Analysts pointed to that moment as the likely tipping point. What surprised many even more was the decision to put her back in the game. The Fever were already up by 8 points with just 16 seconds left on the clock. The outcome was basically locked in, so why take the risk? It's a decision that's now raising serious questions about how her health is being managed school. As frustrating as how preventable this all seems when you look back. Pushing her return to soon after, a quad injury may have set off a chain reaction leading directly to the groin strain. This isn't just a case of bad luck. It's a case of questionable decision-making. Experts say situations like this are a reminder of a simple but often overlooked truth in professional sports. Healing takes time, especially for athletes competing under intense pressure, both physically and mentally.
Career, and her as a player is so important for this team and for this league in general, so you actually can't risk it. You can't risk it at this point. You don't need something more serious happening because you're rushing somebody back with a muscle sprain.
Heal on a tight schedule. Pushing that process too fast doesn't lead to better results, just bigger risks, which brings up a serious question. Why wasn't more done to protect Caitlin Clark either from the pressure she puts on herself or from the demands of her team? If the warning signs were clear enough to show up on game tape, how did they go unnoticed? Worse, ignore her coaches and training staff.
They will do it at kind of a slow pace to make sure that the mechanics of their body are on the same pace as the amount of muscle growth and muscle gain that they are adding. And what worries me about this injury is that her quad injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation.
You've been following Caitlin Clark this season. You've probably noticed something. Concerning defenders aren't just playing her toe-tier being overly physical, sometimes to the point of danger. And the real issue, no one seems to be stepping in. Game footage clearly shows Clark taking hard hits with little response from officials. Missed calls, no whistles, nothing to slow it down. Some are now asking a serious question. Is she being singled out?
Say you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. And with women as well, we are more prone to knee injuries even than the men because of the angle that our hips go to our knees. So the last thing you want is her compensating or her groin not firing properly.
You're one of the biggest stars in the league. The spotlight doesn't just attract fans, it draws defenders who want to challenge you at every step. But lately, it feels like Caitlin Clark is being targeted a little too much. In recent games, she's taken hits so rough, you'd think she was playing football, not basketball. And what's more frustrating, the referees are letting a lot of it go. The whistles aren't coming, and people are starting to take notice.
With you, Steve, but come on, man. This is a 23-year-old woman who's been at the center of a racial conflict and conversation that no 23-year-old girl from Iowa has any interest in.
There was a moment during the Fever's game against the Dallas Wings that really stood out. Caitlin Clark was leading a fast break. As she went up for a layup, she got hit mid-air hard. No foul was called. The play continued. Fans on social media immediately reacted, calling it a clear foul, but the refs let it go. Clark was visibly frustrated, limping. And the truth is, this kind of thing is starting to happen more often. It raises a tough question. Is this just the price of being the league's biggest name?
She's been vilified. Her fan base has been vilified. They play very physically against her. You got no sympathy for her?
WNBA stars really have to just tough it out? Or is there something deeper going on? Some analysts believe Caitlin Clark's rising stardom is actually working against her. With so many eyes on her, defenders see an opportunity shutting her down on the court, makes headlines, and boosts their own reputation. But this isn't just about fair play. It's about protecting players for the long haul. And right now, it feels like the league isn't doing enough to protect one of its biggest stars.
I call that stealing yourself. She's gonna have to adopt that mentality, hold grudges, never forget, and be vindictive. Those are good things, used correctly.
When Jackie Robinson broke into Major League Baseball, he didn't just face tough opponents, he faced constant unfair targeting. But at least back then, people acknowledged the pressure he was under. With Caitlin Clark, it feels different. She's taking hit after hit, but the support around her seems quiet, almost absent now. The talk of jealousy or even bias is getting louder, and the comparisons to Robinson's story, while not identical, are starting to feel more relevant than ever.
Just like to expect a woman to go through what Jackie Robinson went through and survive it, I think is an unrealistic expectation.
Mental toll this kind of treatment takes can't be ignored. Imagine being the face of an entire league expected to perform at the highest level night after night, while also being singled out with little protection from officials or leadership. It's not just the physical wear and tear, it's the emotional strain. You can see it in Clark's recent performances. In 3 games, she hit just 1 three-pointer. In one of those matchups, she scored only 6 points, far below the standard she set for herself.
He's about to go through what Jackie Robinson went through, and I'm just not sure if a woman can handle that. And she's certainly not getting the level of support.
Caitlin Clark's usual spark seems dimmed. The energy she's known for, the way she lights up her team and excites the crowd, it just hasn't been there lately. And when you step back and look at the full picture, it's easy to see how the pressure may be taking a toll. This is where the WNBA has a responsibility. Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a major ratings draw and a key part of the league's future. In fact, when she missed time with her quad injury, viewer numbers noticeably dropped.
In an awful stretch of games, seems to be depressed on the court and playing with a completely different energy and emotion than what she had been before the Barbie brawl during the Connecticut Sun game.
Protecting her isn't just about her personal well-being, it's vital for the future of the league. When young talent sees how badly top players are treated, it raises a serious question. Why commit to a career in professional basketball if the league doesn't even look out for its biggest stars? This isn't just about Caitlin Clark's career, about the direction of women's basketball as a whole. And if the league won't step up, what about her team? Where's the Indiana Fever in all of this? Are they doing enough to support and protect their most important player?